It's nice to see all of you, and we've already passed Christmas, and I've talked to you like a little bit since these days, since Christmas and all. But it's still nice to greet all of you and the new viewers and everyone who's just new to this channel, or yeah, just yeah, that's coming. So anyway, I do want to get into a different topic today, but I'll plug myself up quite fast because I'm not going to be streaming on too long. So if you guys come on in late, well, that's fine. It's all good. Today we're going to be talking um, about my favorite console. Now, this is a complete opinion. Once again, you guys are going to have different opinions about which console you like, and you guys can do that in the description below. You guys can go ahead and comment. But let me just plug myself up. If you have not yet subscribed, go ahead and do that, and make sure to hit that little notification bell. Besides that, you guys can also follow my Twitter, Facebook, and my Facebook, which I'm currently recording and posting on and streaming on, so you guys could do that. But besides that, you guys could also join my Discord server, which I'm trying to grow the community, and hopefully it'll be nice and strong. You guys will be the best Naddles in the world. Actually, you guys are the only Naddles in the world. Uh, so, yeah, guys. Besides that, if you guys would like to support me on Patreon, you can if you want, and it's completely optional. So no need to force yourself to do it, but it does help the creators, obviously, by a long shot. So yeah, just letting you guys know. Anyway, we're gonna be going ahead and talking about my favorite console. Now, actually, before I started streaming, I didn't actually think about it, and the reason I like to do these streams the way I do them is because they're it's kind of a rant on things that obviously I know or I think of, or yeah, just knowledge or opinions that I have. Now, you may think, hey, Ricky, why don't you actually like write something before the stream, so you could have like prepare it, so you can have some well thought out answers. And yeah, I do. I usually do that, like for videos or streams, just to kind of prepare myself. I think it's a good way for me to know what I'm gonna say. But I think it's good to also get it natural. Like in them TV shows where where it's not a TV show, I guess. Like where Miss America goes up and they ask her a question, like the simplest fucking question, and they can't even answer it. Like, what's the question? How can we stop bullying? And they're like, well, we can stop bullying by Amen, America. They're it's like, what? You just skipped the whole question. Um, uh, yeah, that's the whole point. I want to be able to give you guys my answer just like how it is. Like if you were to meet me one day and, hey, what's up, dude? What's your favorite console? And there's a lot of reasons why I have my favorite console. Yo, Tipius, welcome to the stream, my dude. It's nice to have you on here. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing really well, Tipius. Right now, we're about to be talking about my favorite console, I guess. Like I said, I haven't actually thought about it, but hey, I'm gonna go all ham. So there's a lot of consoles that I like. Honestly, all of them. I love every console. I love every game or most games out there. I don't know. I just have a genuine love for video games, and I think all of you do too. I think we can all vouch for that thing. Um, there are genres that we may not like as much as others. For example, for me, I don't really like MOBAs, and I'll talk about that in a stream later or in another video or whatever. But the console that I truly like, um, I think for me, like the one that I had the most fun with, honestly, now before I do say it, I also want to mention we're not talking about like handhelds. We're talking about consoles, okay? And we'll get to handhelds later. That's a whole nother can of worms. Uh, but as of actual the console that I actually liked, it's most likely, yeah, I think it's gonna be the Nintendo 64 for sure. Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that's the one I'm gonna have to vouch for, the Nintendo 64. And I have to say, the Nintendo 64 has some pretty shitty games. Um, like if we're like being like even generous, most of its games were pretty shit, and even the good ones were, if you technically play them now, aren't that really, they're not that good. Like they're really not that good. GoldenEye, it's fun when you have people, but I mean now you play a shooter. I mean there are different ways to play games now. There are more modern ways. There are extremely better ways. Like before, how did we used to play GoldenEye, or how did we used to play Perfect Dark? We used the fucking analog stick and the C buttons to kind of move around. Like what the hell? How do you aim with C buttons? It's like trying to shoot in Modern Warfare or in fucking PUBG or Fortnite with a fucking with a button. You don't do that. Now you could say, hey, well we have keyboards, they have keys. Yeah, but that's how you move around the character. That's fine. That's not how you actually aim the weapon itself, the sight. So, yeah, a lot of the stuff in Nintendo 64, it's just pretty shit. The controller is pretty shit. I mean, we think of the controller like it's some deity because, I mean, we grew up with it, right? But let's be honest here, it's the shittiest controller out there. Like, who the fuck, who thought of manufacturing a controller that has three handles, really? But I'm not here to shit on it. I'm here to talk good things about it because we'll even come back to a video of why it's so bad. But what I'm trying to say here is that the Nintendo 64 had its very very good benefits. Like the games, some of the games, even though like they've aged really badly, really horribly, they are still fun, and a lot of those are extremely fun when you play them with people, just like any other game. I think I've had the whole talk about hype, and I mentioned Among Us. Among Us is one of those games where if you play it by yourself, I'm sorry, but you're gonna get bored as shit. But if you play it with people who like you usually play with, or you like play it with people here. Actually, let me lower this down because I look kind of, it's way too tall. I think that's better. Yeah, I think that's a little bit better. Let me see. Let me see here. Let me see. Yeah, okay, that's good. I'm sorry about that, guys. But yeah, so we talked about that with Among Us. It's not really such a fun game if you don't play with people. The concept is so simple, and people like it. Fall Guys is the same way. Well, Fall Guys a little bit different. It's like one of those games where like it kind of reminds you like what like one of them TV shows where you have to like go through the stages and jump over things. That's a little bit different. But Among Us is literally all about the community. It's all about the people around you. I don't know what's your favorite consoles, guys. If you're here, what is your favorite console and why? But while I'm waiting here for your answers, I'll just keep on ranting about this. So, as for the Nintendo 64, there were plenty of good games that I liked of different genres. Now, you could consider some almost the same, but I would still think they're like, for the most part, different. Um, Now, Pokemon Stadium 1 was not really such a good game as compared to as Pokemon Stadium 2, but I always like to come back and play that game every once in a while. But you can't lie that the mini games aren't fun, because the mini games are pretty dope. Like the Sandshrew one, the Rattata one, the little I don't know. There's a ton of them. There's the Voltorb one. You have like the Magikarp one where you have to jump at the same time. It's really weird to do the button presses. so you have a whole lot of good ones on that game, and then you also have the normal battling, which is kind of unfair. And if you try to play that game, you might. I mean, the matchups are pretty simple, but they've changed, and that's the problem with Pokemon. That each game with each generation, not really through the games, but through the generations, stats and other things have changed, like what attacks are good against what types. So that's gonna be hard. Now I'm not gonna derail myself and just talk about Pokemon. But anyway, that's the hard part about going back to an older Pokemon game. Unless you really know about that Pokemon game and you're really used to it compared to as the newer ones or like the mid generations or extremely old generations. So yeah, but the Nintendo 64, I mean, you could play with four people right out of the box. The PS2 couldn't do that unless you had the thingamajigger. The GameCube had four slots, so that's definitely a good thing. Um, what else? I mean, besides that, you had to keep blowing on the damn cartridges. I think it was all well. I think it was all well with the Nintendo 64. Its shooters, like GoldenEye, weren't so bad at the time. I mean, yeah, they're bad now, but don't tell me you didn't have fun playing these games. They were pretty awesome. I think being able to enjoy, a shooter at that time was pretty rare. I mean, yeah, I mean it was unheard of. I mean Doom, okay, fine, Doom, but that's different. Doom is like different, it's Doom. It's such a good game, but it's a different kind of shooter. It's not necessarily the same type. Um, you don't really have to aim. You just like move your character left and right. So if you have that argument, it does not apply because these two games are different. They're two different kinds of shooters. Um, so anyway, it had other really good games like Conquer's Bad Fur Day. It had 64, which revolutionized controllers as it is. Had some of the tightest platform controllers out there, and the 64 didn't have the tightest controls ever. Besides, with that game, we got games like Banjo-Kazooie, which later came out in Super Smash. And obviously Super Smash has its extremely big revenue. It's pretty amazing. The amount of revenue that game made, and it all started because the 64. So that gets me to the next game, Smash, smash, guys, smashing them like buttons. That's what you should be doing. But anyways, here, let me open this up. I'm just checking the stream, guys. Just making sure everything is fine. Actually, I should probably change it to my earphones here so it's not loud. I think I can hear myself fine. Yeah, it's good, I guess. But yeah, anyway. Yeah, so that's basically the gist right there, guys. The 64 was a good console. It doesn't matter if you didn't like it. That's fine. Not everyone got to try it. If you're of the younger generation, you should go back and play it. You'll see how bad games were and now how good you guys have it. But it also shows that how games have changed a lot and some qualities aren't there like they used to be. And that's not a bad thing and that's not a good thing. I think it's kind of like both. Some games can replicate that old style, like Shovel Knight. That it really replicates a SNES game. It really does. And that game is meant to do that. That's why it's a good thing. Now, if it's trying to do that and it doesn't do it correctly, then it's a bad modern game trying to replicate an old game. But as for this era, it was pretty fun. I think it had a lot of potential and it did really, well. Actually, did it do really well? I think it did decently because of Mario 64. there were a lot of add-ons. This was the time where Nintendo was still trying all their weird shit, and they still are. I mean, just a few years ago we had a Wii U. Come on, guys. If you're telling me that they're not still trying shit, they still are, clearly, and they lost a lot of money for it. They're still trying shit now, and some of it is getting them banned. Like, not banned. What am I saying? I'm thinking of like the tournament that just got banned. It's getting them bad feedback from people. Like, it's losing their reputation. But hey, that's different kind of trying out. Right now we're talking about different innovations, different things that they tried out in their past. So yeah, stuff like Hey You Pikachu. That was a cool one. Did it work? Not really, but was it fun to try and be like, "Hey Pikachu"? Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was fun. It was fun. As a kid, I was fucking happy, like to know that I could talk to Pikachu. Uh, because by that time, I've already played a ton of the Pokemon games, so I already had an understanding and a connection to those Pokemon. And when I saw it on the big screen, I was like, God damn. That also includes Coliseum 1 and 2. I was like, God damn. So yeah, that was definitely a nice thing. Then you had the expansion pack. Now, I didn't really have this at the earlier stage of my life. I didn't really have it because we just didn't have it. We had Donkey Kong at some point, but we never were able to save the damn game. We had to beat it like from start to finish, and like one of the ways that we would beat long games without the expansion pack if we needed it was to just turn off the TV. And because you know how parents are back in the day, come and eat, turn off the video games, and and that's just life, I think all parents are like that. Turn off your games, and back then they were not online, so you could just press start technically. But we couldn't turn off the console because then all your data would be gone if you didn't have an expansion pack. And if you were one of the kind of people that were like me, go ahead and make sure to like the video because hey, they were troubling times for us kids without expansion packs. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, they had those. Some games required it, like Donkey Kong. I believe you couldn't even play it without it. Yeah, you couldn't even play the game without it. But some games they didn't require it, but they asked you to have one just in case so you could save your game. Now the controller, we go to the fucking three-handed controller. Like, seriously, who made this controller? It looks like a boomerang. It looks like that made-up PS3 controller that everyone was talking about a few years ago. I don't know if you guys remember that, but a long time ago, people thought that the PS3 was gonna have like a boomerang-looking controller. You could throw that shit like Sokka from Avatar: The Last Airbender, and it would work. But back to the 64, its control scheme was so weird, and it had like a D-pad on the left side, right? It had a D-pad, a really like bad D-pad. It was one of those D-pads where you press it in and it feels like all chummy. It doesn't feel like a good click. It doesn't feel tactile. It doesn't. I mean, it just because it's not tactile doesn't mean it has to be good. But it's not. It's mushy. It's very mushy. It feels like you're like pressing on dough or like Play-Doh or some shit. It's not such a good feeling. So yeah, basically that's what the controller is. It has a Z button in the back, which it's obviously a genius thing, and God bless that Nintendo innovated this. They were the first people to do this, I believe, with adding a Z button to lock on, like in Zelda and other games. You can start locking on, or you can make the camera like kind of go pan out to where you want it to go, where your character's looking. Now, they weren't perfect. The controls and the camera angles weren't perfect, and that's kind of limited on the game. It depends on the game software and their camera work and like what the developers did to make the camera feel better. Like Banjo's camera is a million times better than than 64. 64 was pretty shit. But it still worked, you know? It still worked like it had to, at least, for the most part. But anyway, oh, all right, right. So that's just one part of the controller. But if you didn't know, it also had a butthole. This controller had a butthole in its back, um, and it was like a really big slot. So people like me at the beginning didn't know what the hell that was. We just thought it was some, I don't know, something, just some random hole. Like maybe we broke it, or that's just how it came. They came like broke in the back, or maybe without the lid. But it had a use to it, and we didn't know. At least for my family and I, we didn't know what it was for. And later, well, we did get some of the like some more add-ons to it, like the peripherals. We did get like the Rumble Pack and what else was there? The memory card thing. I think there was a memory card. Yeah, there was a memory card thing that you could insert in there. Um, yeah, so you could essentially put a memory card inside your controller, and I think it would save some data. I forget what it was and for what games it does it in, but you could do that in. You could do that in the 64. You got the Rumble Pack, which is pretty damn cool. It makes your controller be able to rumble, which I don't recommend using, but it does become a little bit more immersive than just a fucking controller that does nothing. I mean, nowadays a controller without rumble is kind of like it's a feature that needs to be on there, you know, to immerse the player more. Um, Whenever you're fucking jumping off a building or doing some crazy stuff in the game. Um, I'm just trying to think. There was quite a few more things that you could add on there. Um, but I'll get back to that if I if I can remember, because goddamn, my brain is just is turned off right now. But besides that, you can also, if you had the chance, there was a Game Boy player that you could only play, I believe, just one game. No, no, there was a Game Boy player on the Nintendo 64. Or could you play SNES games? No, 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 no. Let me check that out. Uh, Nintendo 64 Game Boy player. Oh, there was also the transfer pack. Okay, so it was called the transfer pack. Okay, here are some of the things here. There's the controller pack. That's the controller pack is the one where you can put the like stuff inside. There was the jumper pack, which I think that was a Japanese based one. I guess another memory expansion port. Then the actual expansion pack with the little red lid on the top, and it shows some of the games that required it, but some games that didn't need it, some games that did need it. The Rumble pack. Then there was the transfer pack to that here with the transfer pack. What you do is like you put in a if you wanted to transfer something from your game in like uh, Pokemon into the stadium games, you can. Or if you wanted a special Pikachu or a special egg from the stadium game, you could get it by transferring it into your game. Um, the transfer pack was only compatible with a few titles, some being Japanese, some not. Oh, okay. It's called the Wide Boy. the Wide Boy 64. So the Wide Boy 64 was to play Game Boy games. You like it's like a cartridge, a big cartridge. You snap it on there, and then you put the Game Boy game on the. Which could also play Game Boy Advance. Wow, that's cool. It could also play Game Boy Advance. So you just stick it on there and it works. Anyway, yeah, and besides that, other things that were available for it, that were supposed to be available for it, were the oh yeah, besides Game Shark cartridges. If you guys did not play with them, guys, you should have tried them back in the day. They were pretty fun. It's like a cartridge that you put another cartridge in, and then you put the cartridge inside, and then you can essentially like do cheats on the game, which is fun if you're just like messing around and having a good old time with that. Uh, I'm gonna talk about two more things that I kind of wanted to go over. Um, Game tilting. Was that what it's called? I'm trying to remember. Anyway, so game tilting, it's essentially when you tilt the game out of the cartridge of like the slot, and the game starts to glitch out because you're not supposed to take out the game while you're playing it. You're supposed to leave it in there. But if you like pull it out little by little, you can cause glitches in the game to happen, like character models start going crazy, or the map starts to go ham, or uh, yeah, glitches. A bunch of glitches start happening. So you could try that with each game, and they all have like random stuff that happens. I think it's a pretty interesting. It's not a feature, but it's something that you could do. But just note, don't do it if you don't want to fuck up your Nintendo slot or the game itself. So if you don't want to damage it, don't do that. But it's a thing that kids used to do back in the day, just to kind of like play around. But besides that, I did want to go over one final thing here. And this is the DD drive. So this was an add-on to the 64. So the 64 had a thing at the bottom that you basically like. There was like a port that you were going to use, and if you notice, every 64 has this, I believe, and I think they were removed in the very late iterations, maybe. But yeah, there's like a little lid at the bottom that you take out, and there's a slot in there. So that slot was actually made so you can put your console on it, and it was called the DD drive, the 64 DD drive. And this was supposed to be an add-on that was like kind of like for a future generation, you could say. It helped make the 64 more beefed up, and it actually did release, and there are some out there. I think a few games were out for it too, but just like Japanese games. But it got discontinued really quickly. But it was such a it was such a important piece because like every console has it. This was planned as the 64 was being planned too. So it was always planned to come out, but it just never got. I don't know. It just never got enough funding or something for it at the end. Like maybe the investors just didn't believe in it anymore. So yeah, they discontinued it, and they had a lot of games planned for it, and like other iterations of the games that we have now were meant to be on the DD drive. And the DD drive, like when you install it, it has like a slot in the front where you can add a kind of like a floppy disk drive, but it's not a floppy disk. It still looks like a cartridge, but it goes in like a floppy disk. And yeah, it's I think it adds like 64 megabytes with each floppy drive. Basic, it calls a floppy drive here. I don't know. Yeah, it was announced in 1995, so a while ago, right? And it released in '97. So yeah, it's out there, guys. If you want to look up some things about it, you can, which are pretty cool. Anyway, there was a lot of things that came out for it. I think it was a really cool camera, a basic 35 millimeter camera, complete with a timer and flash. Well, I didn't know all that. Uh, I didn't actually even talk about all the other things yet. I'll probably talk about that right now, and the final thing that I want to go over, which is probably the best part about Nintendo 64s that other consoles didn't really have. So you know how nowadays, when you buy a console, you have like limited editions. You have uh, this edition, that edition. So back in the day, they didn't really. I mean, they did this a lot too, but it was for a different reason, I believe, and I feel. Uh, so games back then, they used to take out like a lot of colors. They used to take out a lot of variations, at least for the 64. I'm not talking about the PS1 because the PS1 really didn't have a lot of variations besides like the improvements on it. Or so that the Dreamcast, it didn't have any other variations besides models. But you know, nowadays you have like, oh, the Gears of War Xbox, oh, the PS5 Last of Us edition, oh, the Ratchet and Clank Ratchet Clank edition something. Now you have stuff that actually looks nice. Like it looks well defined. Not all of them look so good, but you know, like they look pretty decent. There was some PS3s that looked okay. I still like the original PS3 though, in my opinion. Xboxes got a ton of them. Uh, Xbox Slims, those were a thing. Wow, yeah, those were a thing. Wow. All right. So the thing that I wanted to talk about more was the different colors that they had in the controllers. The controllers look so awesome. They would they would get like really cool controllers. Like there were so many colors, so many variations of the controllers. It was so awesome, and I hope that you guys can look up some of them. I think they're amazingly cool. As well as the console, you have like these transparent colors, like dark colors. You have these really bright colors. You get like, yeah, there's so many. There are some with like Pikachu on it. Yeah, there were so many kinds out there, and in Japan, I'm sure there were a million times uh, more versions than there were out there than like in the West. But um, yeah, I think the Nintendo 64 was such a great console, guys. There are so many good things about it. A lot of the games are really good. They don't hold up very well nowadays, like Mario Party. But it's still fun with people. It's still fun. A fun game's a fun game, and we can't deny it. There are probably some games that I didn't talk about that I probably would have wanted to talk about more. But we're not talking about the games today. We're just talking about the console and what it has to offer and why I think it's my favorite console. And I honestly think like it just did so much for a lot of people's childhoods, just like other consoles like the SNES and the NES, which I got to play when I was young. But the Nintendo 64 does have that uh, special feeling of, hey, this is the new 3D thing, and you should try it out. But hey, I mean, we all know the PS1 had uh, a much stronger a CPU, and I'm sure a GPU if it had one, if it had one, I don't know, but it was stronger. It looked better. It ran better. It was just better. But the 64, either way, still had very, very good games. Not the best ports, but it still had very good games that you could still enjoy to this day. You just have to take it with a grain of salt. And yeah, that's about it. You're gonna have to get used to the controllers, and it kind of sucks that you have to get used to them. But I mean, I think you could say the same shit about the PS1. The first controller, it's pretty crappy. You only have the controller without the analog sticks because they didn't exist at the time until later. They added more games that had the dual analog uh, like features to them. So yeah, there you go. Not everything is perfect, but definitely a lot of consoles were pretty damn good even back in the day. So that's all I have to say for today. I think I'm gonna finish off here. Um, yeah. So guys, if you guys were able to watch, it's highly appreciated. Thank you. And hey, Advenus, I'm about to finish off right here. Wow, at the last moment. Uh, yeah, at the very very end, dude. I'm literally about. I'm like, time to get off. Yeah, I had to start working here very soon, but yeah, maybe you could watch it if you feel like listening to something dumb in the background. But anyway, yeah, thank you for joining anyways, dude. Like it's really nice for you to be here. Um, so yeah, let's go ahead and end it off. Uh, thank you guys for joining. Just in general, everyone, and for whoever watches the video later on or the streams. Uh, so yeah, guys, thank you so much, and I hope that all of you. By the way, before I go, how are you doing today? Yeah, I thought it was gonna be longer, but I should have done it a little bit earlier. It was kind of my bad because today I do have to, I have to work and a lot of stuff. So, um, yeah, I'm probably tomorrow. I'm going to test out, or tonight I'm going to test out, uh, seeing if I could stream. Maybe if it's even like through my computer stream. Maybe if it's like at least one time a week. It's currently kind of hard to stream like that when the computer's not working, so yeah, I'm gonna see if I could try it out with another test account, and yeah, I hope it works. I hope it works so we can make some play some games. But for the most part, yeah, hopefully that comes out soon. Uh, but yeah, thank you guys. All right, well, I will see you guys on the next stream, which will be tomorrow. So thank you guys and have a good night. Bye. 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 Bye.